Alright, today we're going to go on a virtual field trip as a class. We're going to do this all together today. And today we're going to go do Machu Picchu in Peru. Now we'll start by going to the welcome page of the class website. Now on your menu you're going to go over to class activities and scroll on down to other resources. Under other resources we're going to go under language arts and click on the Panorama's Virtual Field Trip button. This is going to take us to a website called panoramas.dk, and this has pictures from basically somewhere all over the world. And since we can't just board a plane to Peru to go do a creative writing exercise together, we're going to do the next best thing, and we're going to take a look at these beautiful 360-degree shots. Now, as you can see, it's got rolling hills and mountains, ancient ruins. It's very green and beautiful, and we can scroll right and we can see what it looks like to this side of it and all the people visiting the site here. And we keep scrolling, and I believe we see the cameraman's friend, or this photogenic gentleman right here. And we can also go up and see the sky, and we can scroll down and see the ground. So we'll just keep on going around, kind of get the full 360 before we get started. And start taking into account some little details, maybe the colors you're seeing. And start imagining, what do you think it smells like? What do you think it looks, what do you think it's like when you're there? Do you think the air is very cool and breezy? Do you think it's warm? What do you think it's like? Now, once you start getting an idea of this, I want you to compile a list. Now, you can do it on your tablets, or you can do it right on a piece of paper in front of you, and start writing a list of words that could describe this place. Now, what are some words that you're coming up with? I know when I see it, I think it's sunny. I think it's very green, and maybe another good word would be luscious for green. It looks very old, as we can see down here. There's lots of ancient ruins, old stone walls. Look at them crumbling. Even the pathways are overgrown down here with moss. So what do you think I'm setting you up to do right now? What are we going to start talking about, do you think, in English and Language Arts class, using descriptive details like this? Now, if you guessed that we're going to talk about the setting, you're correct. And what we're going to do is we're going to get set up to create a setting for our own stories. So, every picture on this website has a little description of the place. Now, we know, for example, that this is Machu Picchu in the Andes Mountains of Peru, and it is situated at 9,060 feet, which is 2,430 meters above sea level. It's a very old village, or not village, but an old ruins. And it was built more than 500 years ago, and it's Peru's most famous tourist attraction. So that's kind of just a little overview. If you want to find out more about a place, these have a lot of links. You can also go and look them up on your own time. But while we're in class, we're going to focus on these photos right here. So, now once we've done that, let's go up to this bar up here. Now this gives you what they're calling the new 7 wonders, and these are some places you've probably heard of before. Now the Great Wall, as we all know, is in China. Once again, it's going to give you a 360-degree view. Now I encourage you to kind of poke around and look at least 4 or 5 different places. Now these could be all over the world. And please remember when you're doing this that what you want to come up with is something you can make a setting for a story about. So we could go up to this top right corner here, and it gives you all kinds of things, both modern places, very old places, perhaps certain events. Other places could just be landscapes. If I wanted to go, for example, to the New York City Yankees parade, it's going to be a very different view from the last two that we just looked at. Now, as you can see, if we started describing details, we could definitely say it was crowded. Everybody was wearing Yankees apparel. What I really love about this is that you can pull up and you can see just how huge the buildings around you are. After all, this is New York City. Or you can look down at the ground and look at all the litter on the ground. Look at all the confetti on the ground from the parade. Everything to celebrate the Yankees here. Now, I know a lot of you don't necessarily like the Yankees, but that's okay. This is just an example. And now you can also look at the people in some of these. Now remember, in every story you have to have characters. And this is actually a great place to start, because in looking at these, maybe we can start to get ideas about the characters that we'll be putting into our stories in these settings. And as you look at these people, start asking yourself, how would I describe them? You may not know anything about them, but if you had to attribute characteristics to them, what would it be? Just like if you had to attribute descriptions or characteristics to this place, what would it be? Now, another thing I really like about this site is if you go up here, looking at my clicker, it says USA 360. Go ahead and click on that, and that'll bring you to a Google map of the United States. And look at all these different drop pins you can check out. Now, we don't have any going on up here in our neck of the woods, but that's okay because we want to go somewhere different today. So, for example, let's say we wanted to go, oh, you know, it's getting kind of cold out. Florida would be really nice right about now. So we'll click on that for a panorama of Florida. And here you go. You've got some families out here on the beach, and we can start describing what does it feel like there. I'll bet it's much warmer and more comfortable than it is here. What's going on in this photo? After all, we just looked at these families over here, and if I can get it back around, it looks like we've got a group, maybe a father over here and his daughter. They've got the camera set up, so they're taking pictures of something. Something's going on in the distance. Maybe it's the sunset, maybe it's a boat. Look at that. Oh, and look at, as we scroll up, what we see here. All right. So once you've gone through maybe 3 or 4 different places and you've chosen a place, what I want you to do is start brainstorming all these descriptive details. Start brainstorming who these characters are and what their life is all about. And then we're going to go back to the other resources page that we were on the class website, and going back up to class activities, we're now going to go to documents. So using some of the descriptive terms that you brainstormed, you should be writing things down. Perhaps it's Machu Picchu. You can practice on that. Perhaps you've already chosen a place. But once you've found that place and you've started using some of these details we've talked about, knowing what you know about Freytag's pyramid, right here, you're going to start to develop your exposition right over here. So this is the start of the story. Now we're going to start describing from that and from the panoramics we just visited in all these wonderful places, the main characters, the setting, the descriptions. And from that, we're going to start to build the rising action. Okay? So that was our little virtual field trip for the day, and now you're going to need to go and do your own. So